Greetings and blessings. This is the transmission for the blood moon lunar eclipse at 12 degrees and 50-ish minutes. Sun in Pisces, moon in Virgo. And this particular blood moon eclipse took me down quite the rabbit hole. And I have a bunch of notes here in front of me, so pardon me if I am not gazing directly at the camera at every step. Virgo moon represents what it is that we devote ourselves to, what our intuition leads us into. It's the priestess, it's the sacred. Virgo represents the sacred Vestal virgins who used to take care of the temples, who made sure that the flames were always lit, who helped prepare for ritual and ceremony, who kept the temple in order and clean. And those are very much Virgoan traits in organizing, in detoxing, in creating a space that is inviting but is also organized. So some of the characteristics and things that people might be feeling called to right now is detoxing, detaching. The focus is on health and routines because Virgo represents our digestive system. And so are we assimilating the nutrients that we require, and are we eliminating what it is that is no longer required in the body? It has very much a health focus. So you might be sitting with what is calling your attention right now in terms of care of your body, but also care of your space. It is a purgative kind of energy as well, where people might be doing, like I said, cleanses to purge things in their bodies, but also in their spaces. And it's a time when we clear clutter and slow down. It's an opportunity with this particular lunar eclipse to reset our blueprint, because there's a lot going on with this particular lunation, which I'm going to get through here. So Virgo is about life being sacred, as I talked about, the priestess, and life is a ceremony. And I see people creating more ceremony in their life, even if it's personal. It's also about the rituals that we choose to exercise in our daily habits, to treat life as moments to be present in. And it doesn't require like all day, every day, but it's like the little things that we do are cumulative and yield results in the distance. And it doesn't have to be long distances where we see results. It's like dedication and discipline to the work that we're called to do, but also to the tasks that are very mundane, that require time and attention. Like washing our clothes and cleaning our bodies and brushing our teeth. Like the simplest of tasks yield big results in the long term. So meditation and prayer and personal ritual and moments of quiet and moments of honoring priestess, honoring the temple that we have been given. And I hope that people are paying more attention to their temples and really taking the time to care for them, because we are in a space of great chaos in the world. This full moon is infused with divine codes, which are meant to energize us. And this full moon is a blood moon. So what that means is the sun, the moon, the earth is dead center. So as the sun is shining its light, it is moving around the earth to the moon. And all of the sunsets casting those orangey and pinky and red kind of glows as the sun sets around the world is being cast on the moon. And it creates this blood red appearance. But there's a lot of information. There's a lot of embedded frequencies that bring recurrence of waves. So I talked about in the Mercury retrograde that we are in a time that resembles 2020, in that the energetics are, the cycle of the energetics are resonant. It's not the same, but cycles bring frequencies in time. So there's many of them. This is a time to analyze, organize, problem solve. With the South Node being with the Moon, the South Node is about letting go. It's literally about composting. It is elimination. It's the tail of the dragon. So if you think of the North Node being the head, the tail of the dragon is with the Moon. So we're being called to let this particular lunation bring into focus what it is that is no longer serving us. And Virgo is about service, being in service. I talked about the Vestal Virgins. They were in service to the temples and to the people to ensure that what the routines and activities were could continue. So this full moon is asking us to let go of actions that are no longer in service to our greatest, highest good, to our destiny, to our potential, to ourselves, and to the world that we are in. Uranus and Mercury are both very much in the mix by aspect. So Mercury is retrograde. Uranus brings a lot of shifts and changes very quickly. So the medicine here with these two being very much in focus with this lunation is to give yourself more time, reduce distractions, be ready to roll with shifts and changes, reducing the distractions to feed your mind and reduce the clutter. So if we are caught in loops of distraction, the distractions create more emotional, mental, energetic clutter. I hope that makes sense to people. And in the review of Mercury retrograde, which is very much also tied to Jupiter through all of its retrogrades this year, it's an opportunity to really choose review of things that we have been resisting, perhaps, of thoughts that have been recurring that are like, I don't understand what this means. Give yourself an opportunity to move past old resistances and experiment, try something different. Uranus is very much about experimenting because suddenly something changes and we have to go on the fly to figure out how do we move through this. And the only way sometimes to move through these things is to experiment with something we haven't tried before. So this lunation is really asking us to review pretty significant portions of how it is we are in service, what our inner dialogue, Mercury, looks like, how we see ourselves, how we show ourselves. And with the sun being in Pisces, it's really, the sun is about the macro, the bigger, the moon is about the micro. Pisces is the macro, we are all one. Neptune, the ocean. There's no separating the drops, it's all one, it's big. And Virgo is the details. So we are balancing what it means to sacrifice old habits, old thinking patterns, old ways of being, old things that no longer are in service, to hone in on the details of allowing us to make space. Where are we going? What are we doing? And as I said, Virgo rules the digestive system. So we have the three brains, or this brain, the heart, and the gut brain. And our discernment lives here. Our intuition of like gut feelings lives here. So this full moon really is an opportunity to go through again and tune into our discernment. It's an ending and a closure and a completion. When the moon is near the south node, it's a completion of some type. We are being asked to let go. And it's interesting because Virgo is very much about details and discerning, like sifting through details to discern what it means. But Virgo can be also hypercritical, so we can be discerning or we can be hypercritical, which brings pessimism. So with Mercury being retrograde across the way from the moon, it's an opportunity to think bigger, the macro, and where can we sift through where our discernment is and where our pessimism and hypercriticalness is. There's a big invitation here to work through that, to decide what it is that we're going to let go. This particular eclipse will last 82 minutes at its peak. And what that means, it has an effect for us for the next about 1.5 years, because the minutes add up to time. So July and August next year will bring us perhaps some of the outcomes of this eclipse and the work that we've been doing, and yield the visibility of the results of the day-to-day things that we've been doing and the choices we've been making. There's a lot of asteroids that are involved with this particular lunation and fixed stars, but I've decided just to really hone it through to some very specific ones. Okay, so Pallas Athena is making a trine to Jupiter and the Sun, and Pallas is about the commitments, what we marry ourselves to. And with Jupiter, Jupiter is near the fixed star Sirius, and Sirius is considered to be the dog star. Sirius is, if you think about dogs, loyalty, the traits of dogs, companions, support, trusted. We, as humans, tend to run in packs. Dogs are very much pack creatures. But the fixed star Sirius talks about promises and success and elevated visibility. So with Juno being conjunct the sun, Pallas being conjunct the sun, what are we committing to? And how will we manage increased visibility or our role in a pack, and manage the individual role of the personal power we exercise there? Because Jupiter creates expansion. And Jupiter, as I said, will be very much tied to how we're thinking and how we have an opportunity to expand our thinking and shift it. And with the fixed star Sirius, if we can shift our thinking and create opportunities for more visibility, being in service to the community that we run with, there's so much that can be brought, including wealth. And wealth has many different connotations and contexts. So it's not always money, but wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience, wealth of wisdom, wealth of support, wealth of personal resources. This particular lunation is truly asking us to stay open and kind, because the chaos that exists right now is creating a lot of ripples around the world. We are all connected. We all feel what is happening around the world to different extents. And being able to, as the Vestal Virgins ritual, the priestess, composed, in reflection, thoughtful. I don't say you have to smile through everything, but The smile on your face changes your physical vibration. A composed, as much as it can be managed through whatever is being walked through, presence will help to support and stabilize the road that's moving ahead. And learning to lean into composure and presence and some quiet will also give us space to be in discernment of what's moving around. I know that when my mind is tired and when I'm tired, slowing down helps me to stay in stride of whatever is moving within, which is often reflected as to what is moving around me. So our communications and our presence are going to support us in whatever it is that we are being asked to step into. Again, the dog star, Sirius, trining the sun, how it is that we show up to be able to find expansion in the chaos. And it's all possible. Chaos and expansion are in many ways the same coin that are flipped. We can't expand without chaos, without rearranging the furniture. And so that's why this full moon is so potent to really dig into many, many of these topics and these things. And often the sacred shows up very quietly, and it's not noisy and loud and like flashing lights. The sacred is often incredibly almost unnoticeable if you are distracted. So, the invitation to really step into the micro, how the body feels, what it is that we are in service to, what we're applying ourselves to, will really help to take us through this time, the next few years. And it's interesting because part of what I have been called to say on the front of how I've created my own brand is one breath, one step, one moment at a time. And I learned that one of the slogans of AA is 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 step at a time. I never knew that. And so the discernment of that, pacing ourselves, slowing things down where we can, is so, so potent and important. At the same time, the moon is in Virgo, and the fixed stars in the sign of Virgo are Leonis, so literally the lion. So the fixed stars are not always the same sign, if you understand what I'm saying. And there's 2 fixed stars that the moon is sitting dead center between. The first one is Zosma, and Zosma is on the center body of the lion, not on the heart, but on the body. And Zosma reflects what needs to be sacrificed to co-create the influences and the inspired activities that are, moving within us. And then the moon. And then the next one is Chort, and Chort is on the hip of the lion. So if you think about the hip in a body for the human is the balancing point. The hip joints are the ones that have the most rotation of all of the joints in the body. So we think about flexibility and movement and power. And so with Chort, it's our expression and our generosity, moving with what it is that we are called to and feeling into, to be able to support the place that we are in. What we are committing ourselves to, again with the Sun and Jupiter and Pallas, is, are we being authentic in our inner and our soul work? And what are we limiting ourselves to if we commit to something that is truly smaller, a ceiling, than what we are being asked to in terms of our soul path. And with the moon there, are we allowing ourselves to let go of things that are keeping us small to make space for what is bigger? So Jupiter is literally conjunct the star Sirius. So there's so many moving parts in all of this. It's just really quite astounding. So I want to talk a little bit about what this particular full moon signifies in relation to the bigger world and the things that we're seeing. So everybody knows what's happening in the Middle East with the country that starts with I, the one that's being bombarded right now by our neighbors, and by who's partnering with the other country I, who has been in significant conflict since October of 2023. It's been that long. We're coming up to the place where on March the 18th last year, the star with the white flag with the blue star in the middle, they unleashed on the Gaza Strip last year, March 18th. And here we are at a blood moon. And I learned some really almost crazy, but it's like, oh, it's cosmic. Like, this is crazy. And how is this that it's unfolding? The more I learn, the more my mind is blown by the cosmos. So blood moons come in fours. And as this particular four is happening, it's reflective of two particular points in time where Saturn and Neptune have come into conjunction. And we just had Saturn and Neptune come into conjunction at the 0 point in Aries, which recorded history has never seen. But we have seen Neptune and Saturn come into conjunction many times. And a couple of these times where the Saturn-Neptune conjunction happened, where these blood moons happened, the country of Israel has been in conflict with its neighbors. And also, the country of China has also been in conflict with its neighbors. So we're thinking about different things here. The last time so two particular times that I learned about was 1917, when Saturn and Neptune came into conjunction and there was blood moons. What's interesting about that? In 1917, there was a lot of skirmish in the Middle East where Israel wasn't even a country yet. But powerful things happen with conjunctions and moons. So the skirmishes that were happening before this place became defined, there was a lot of conflict with the people who are cast as God's people. Okay, I'm kind of, again, speaking not in code here, but just to keep this from being flagged. 1917 was also a time with this conjunction and these moons where the miracle of Fatima happened. And so there was many, like I understand it to be thousands of people who saw the lights over Fatima. In the early 50s, Saturn and Neptune were conjunct, and there was blood moons again that started in the early 50s to continue into 54. There was lights over Washington, D.C., which they were calling a UFO sighting, and these lights were moving around significantly. So what's the point of what I'm saying? Here we are in a time again where these blood moons are happening, where this conjunction happened, where there's all this conflict that has unleashed in the Middle East and has erupted significantly. And it's just kind of mind-blowing to look at how Christianity and Islamism and communism have all been erupting around these times as well. What does that mean? I don't know. But I have heard many astrologers say, and I also feel it's correct, that we are going to be in view of more sightings of different kinds. It's really a wild time to be alive, considering everything else. And, you know, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm just putting it out there for consideration. And as I said, we're being asked to really let go of old paradigms that no longer serve us. And I think that this is on the collective human level, but it's also very much at the individual level. So I also want to talk about the Sabian symbols, because the Sabian symbols were channeled by a woman who sat down with each degree of the zodiac and created an articulation of words that created a symbol. So the symbol for this lunar eclipse for the moon is a powerful statesman overcomes a crowd. And so I talked a little bit earlier about maintaining our composure and being able to slow things down and distill our own being through the chaos to be able to move through. And so we're in a time of very chaotic and noisy, and the mastery of succumbing to the chaos is what this particular lunation is asking us. And so we need to be steady and really center ourselves and go back to quieting and slowing things down when we can. If nothing's on fire, no one's dying, and nobody's died, then there's time. There's always time. Even moments make a difference. Again, it's a cumulative effect. And the ability to resist reacting. So Virgo gets hypercritical and then wants to unleash on, like, it's not the way it's supposed to be, and we have to organize. Like, we all have all of the zodiac in us. It's just where our personal placements are sitting that will have more impact and more, I guess, it will be seen. With Mercury retrograde and Uranus being in the play, the avoidance of extremes. We don't need to be passive and just let everything roll over us, and nor do we need to be reactive to control everything. All of these things are happening at different levels of ability to impact. So we're far away from all of the conflicts that are happening. However, we are human on this planet and connected through our frequencies. So what can we do? We can sit and offer energetic peace and calm. And don't underestimate the cumulative effect of people doing that and sending it to places that need it to be. Mastery of influence. So again, you know, with Jupiter being near this fixed star Sirius, our increased visibility will also demand that the influence we have serves. Not us, not the power. It serves the greater. And I mean that from we must do what serves us, but we must be mindful of the power we hold and that it serves something greater. It doesn't only serve personal gain. Inner strength, patience, rather than force. And so in the work I used to do, we were always told, don't meet force with force. And I couldn't have imagined how powerful those statements were until, you know, seeing how my life has shifted and changed and the things I've learned about, and how actually so potent that information is on all levels of life at all times. And so I talked about discernment and pessimism. And You know, part of our ability to work through our own feedback loops is to exercise our own psychic abilities, and we all have them, but to work through psychic blocks by going within and discerning. There's a quote here that I want to read, and it's from Eric Fromm. The psychic task which a person can and must set for himself is not to feel insecure, but is to be able to tolerate insecurity. So, as we're letting go, those old comfortable things that really aren't helping us grow, and there's not much growth in the comfort zone. It happens outside of that. It happens in chaos. Being able to allow ourselves to let go and trust that the cosmos has something much greater for us than we can imagine. We have to feel it, and we have to be inspired to receive that message and to say it. But we also have to let go of controlling it and trusting that our own psychic beings will help to lead us to where we're meant to be. I just want to close with a few more words. So with what's happening through these blood moons and through these conjunctions, and with Neptune and Saturn being at 0 degrees, many astrologers are saying that boundaries are going to dissolve, borders are going to dissolve, and I think it's safe to say that there's going to be redrawing of borders as we're moving along, simply with what we're seeing, never mind whatever else is coming up. So we have to be able to commit to being flexible and understanding that change is constant and truth is going to be illuminated. Like, that's also great big topics right now. So staying flexible and being in view of our own personal power and how we manage that is going to be helpful in being able to navigate the changes and the chaos we're experiencing at a collective, but also very much at a personal level. This is Fire Horse, like, it's dynamic, it's moving, it's shifting, it's go, flow with the go. On March the 12th, Mercury will be at the eclipse degree with the sun. On March the 19th, Mercury will be with the North Node, which means the things that have been changing and shifting in our world and the changes that eclipses invariably set in motion, whether they are lunar or solar. The lunar ones tend to be more internal and emotional and changes within, changes structurally, and the sun is more like about leaders and power and illuminating truths that we haven't seen before. But then the Mercury will be with the North Node on the 19th, and then as it moves direct on March the 31st, it will be at the eclipse degree again. So this story will continue to unfold, even though today is only March, coming into March the 3rd. The cycle of the unfolding and the review and the understanding what is sacred for us and working with all of these opportunities that we're being given is going to be just pivotal. So I just want to offer, as I said, some closing words. Oh, one more thing before I go there. So I've been asked by many people about the planetary parade that was visible in the sky. So we can't see Uranus, we can't see Pluto, we can't see Neptune. But if you were to look at the solar system on a astronomical map, it would look like they're all in a alignment again. And remember that the planets that are closer to us move fast. So these moments happen more often than we believe. It's not so rare. The next planetary parade is going to be August the 19th, which is interesting because this one came in between the two eclipses. The next one also comes in between the two eclipses. So what is it that we're being called to review? That perhaps there's varying cycles and frequencies that are literally on parade in front of us to see and to work with as we're moving along. Okay. As I said, divine codes are being energized for all of us through this particular lunation. And because the lunation happens exact at 5:33 a.m. on March the 3rd, until March the 5th, we will be very much in this vibration of this lunation. So, you are the blessing. Your breath is a prayer. Your presence is sacred. Life is a sacred space. Take as many moments as required, even if it's only seconds, to hold gratitude in stillness, for that will be the space with which we decode our own divine and we find our pathway. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. This is the closing of the eclipse window with this particular eclipse until August. And so be patient with yourself. Hold your time and your being as sacred. And one breath, one moment, one step at a time. Thank you.